Guys, guys. I'm here. Guys, oh my god, guys, Ace Combat League. Ace Combat League. I have it. It's real, totally real. Don't. I know some of you in my Discord are saying that, this is um a certain day, but no, I swear, it's real, totally real. There's even a website for it. Hang on, let me show you. They even have a website for it. The website got leaked. Hang on, let me show you. Uh, 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 here. Look. A lot of people don't know this, but actually Ace Combat 3 takes place in chronologically future of Strangefield. But yeah, look, they have a whole timeline set up for all the future games that they're making. Look at this. Look at all the stuff they have planned. Look, oh my god. And chat. But this one of the games got leaked. I don't think they intended to reveal all this. I'm fairly certain they didn't reveal all this. Okay. I don't have enough time, and I don't have any time. Bandai Namco could realize this leak at any moment, so we need to get to this quick. We need to get to it quick. Chat. We need to get to it quick. While my thing is launching, this is very unoptimized, so give it a second to launch. I'll read the brief. Hang on. Let me read the brief for this particular game. Let's see. Hang on. Hang on. Damn it, where's the brief? Where did I put it? Okay, here. Okay, let me read the brief for one of these leaked games. Potential leak games. These are really early alpha, technical alpha stuff, so let's see. Let's see. The United Galaxy comes in contact with aliens, ETI or extraterrestrial intelligence, triggering the war. What weird language is this? The war of the year 2279. Wow, they're traveling 200 years in the future. Wow, almost 300 years. The small size and sheer number of the aliens made it impossible for the UGSF that's the United Galactic Space Force, to employ their larger vessels of war. So instead, the UGSF deploys their prototype space fighter, the Galaxy. Weird name. This move led to the defeat of the aliens, and since then, this approach becomes the standard measure employed by the UGSF for the operations. This is really basic lore, but it's fine. Guys. The leak is here. Totally legit leak. Hang on. Okay, we need to get into the game quickly before Bandai Namco bonks me. Hang on. Fuck. Hang on. Wait. Hang on. Let me make sure that this is set up right. Okay. I think I managed to get it set up right. Some let's see, some noises are missing, so give me a second. Okay, chat, look, chat. Hang on, it's not capturing. God damn it, capture. God damn it, I said capture. This is occurring in the year 2279 in the Strange Real timeline. Here it is, chat. Here it is. Come on, capture. Why aren't you capturing, motherfucker? God damn it, capture. There it is. Look, chat, look. It's actually playable. Look. Oh my god! Oh my god! It's Ace Combat in space! Look, chat! Oh god! Oh shit! 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 Fuck, this is so difficult. God, fuck. Oh wow, this is really, really early tactical alpha, I can see. The audio is so... It's like... It's like, what, 8-bit audio? This is really early in development, huh? Oh my god! Fuck! Fuck! Maybe I should put on my own music. What do you think? What do you guys think? Ah, shit! 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 Should I put on my own music? Should I put on my own music? Hang on. Okay, hang on. Let's put on some... Let's put on music. Put on our own music. There we go. There we go. Oh god! Shit! 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 Fuck! 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 God, this is actually difficult. Fuck you, alien! Fuck you! Ain't no alien gonna probe my ass! Fuck! Fuck! Why can't I only fire one bullet at a time? They really need to fix this. I hope that they fix this issue once this game, you know, gets development, really enters under like its main development phase, because this is still a technical alpha. Oh god. Oh. Fuck. Fuck, fuck. Oh god. Shit, 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 shit. Oh god! Fuck! 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 Shit! Shit, I died! Shit! Shit! God damn it. Okay, god damn it. Okay, yeah, this is... Okay, I shouldn't really expect much from a game that's still being developed. But yeah, this is Galaxian. Galaxian chat! One of the leaks. Okay, oh, wait, hang on. It closed on its own. Hang on. Hang on. Wait, what? What's going on? Okay, it closed on its own. Don't know what happened there, but hang on, let me... Okay, you know what? There's multiple leaks. We're going to skip forward. Okay. So you see, we have Galaxian here, and then next we're going into Galaga, the next game that was leaked. Yes. The next game that was leaked. Let me read the brief. In just 3 years from the Galaxian... God damn it! Go away! Hang on. Why isn't this working properly? Okay, fuck off. In just 3 years from the Galaxian Galaga War of 2279, the Galaxian Galaga War of 2281 begins. To face the aliens, codenamed Galaga, the UGSF prepares a defensive line to protect the solar system. Early preparations against alien attacks made it possible for the UGSF to finish development of a new space fighter. Codename Fighter. Really? Okay, yeah, they still need to, I guess they still need to fill in the blanks for all the story and stuff. The fighter is equipped with dual fighter mode technology to face impending threat in place of the now defunct Galax ship. Hang on, I need to mix I need to make a change somewhere. Hang on, well, fuck, my shit is breaking. Hang on. Sorry, my second screen is breaking. Fuck, what is this? What is this tech devil doing to my computer? Hang on. Okay, let me try to fix this real quick. Need to type in something here. Yeah, I'm going to have to code this live chat. Hang on, live coding. Yeah. Let me go here and hang on, I'm coding my overlay as I stream right now. Hang on. Hang on. Okay. Okay, so yeah. Okay, I managed to get it to work. Okay, good. Come on, audio work. Why aren't you working? Okay. That should get audio to work, and now gain capture, please capture. I said capture, god damn it. There we go. Okay. Next game in the league, we have Galaga. What? That's not me. Hang on. I said go. Oh, this actually has its own music. Oh, I guess this one was further along in development then. Hang on, I'll turn on music. Let's go! He's covered in space! Oh my god! I can't believe it! Oh, this is so much better than the other tech demo that we played. Oh! Fuck you, aliens! Fuck you! Is that thing meant to— ah! Fuck you! How dare you trick me with that fucking little chevron down at the corner! Hang on! Motherfuckers! So the enemies always fly in formation before they attack. Interesting. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, what's that? Oh, wait, what? What just happened? Did I just get mind broken? Chat, the aliens mind broke my ship! Fuck you! What? What just happened? What? Oh, what? Oh, this is interesting. Oh. So, what? The game expects you to let your ship get mind broken, and then you get a power— oh, what? Oh, okay, yeah, this power up could— I could see some downsides on this power up. I literally scored a goal! Fucking die, bitch! Oh, I like the music. Is that gonna be the main theme of this combat United Galaxy game? Oh fuck! Fuck off! I see. Okay. Oh shit! What the fuck is that? Oh shit! Fuck. 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 Fuck, no, fuck you, game, fuck you. I know this is just a tech demo for the new Ace Combat game, but fuck you. I'm gonna keep going. I want to see how far I can get in this. Fuck you. Hi, Narmi. Look, new Ace Combat. And if you think I'm lying, look, this is actually set in the Ace Combat universe. Look. You can see here. There's an official timeline. It goes from Ace Combat 3, and like just here. And then goes all the way down to here. We have Galaxy just now, and now we're in Galaga. The Galaga timeline. Yes. This is super secret leaked gameplay of the new Ace Combat game set in space. How you doing, Darby? I should see you here before my stream gets bombed by Bandai Namco Senpai for covering the leak. Fuck. So the aliens are gonna be fighting insects? Huh, interesting. Shit. That is the official Bandai Namco site, by the way. Okay. Can I get mind broken again? Were you mind broken? No. How do I trigger the mind break? It's not going to. Fuck. Fuck. Fuck you. Okay. Oh, fucking. Are you serious? Fuck you! You're doing good? Glad to hear it. Fucking. Oh god. Okay, hang on. Oh, I was able to do better in this bonus stage in the last run. Fuck. 31 shit. God damn it. Okay, we have to try to get one of my ships mind broken, and then oh shit. Okay, this is actually getting harder. I wonder how we trigger a mind break. Oh fuck. Ah shit. Shit. Mind break. Go. Take me. Yes. Okay. We got some sweet mind break, and now we're going to get our ship back. Oh shit. Shit. There we go. Fuck you, aliens. Sadly, they only have a little bit of music. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh well, this is technical alpha after all. Okay. Ow, my hands are getting tired. I have to spam the fucking fire button. I hope that they introduce some quality of life improvements eventually. Okay, I'm getting further, chat. Getting go. Oh shit! Fuck! I'm not lying, by the way. My hands are actually getting tired. I have to physically press the fire button every time. I'm playing this on a controller right now. Pew. Is it a bonus stage? Oh. You bitch! Fuck you! Oh god damn it! Fuck you! Bitch! Fuck you! Ow, my hand hurts. Fucking. When can I take a break? I need coffee. No break? Fuck. Oh shit! Fuck you! Aliens tricked me! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you too! Oh god. Ah! God damn it! Shit! Shit! God damn it! God damn it! Yeah. Fucking hell! Yeah. Okay, so we technically still have more. Oh wait, what's going on? What's going on? Wait, what? Why did it make noises? Hang on. There's actually more. There's actually more in this leak. There's more. Hang on. Let me try to find the right file. Hang on. Is this it? Yes, it is. Okay. Okay. Wow, this is okay. This one game is very different. I don't know if this is going to be a good idea to take the Ace Combat series in such a weird direction, but let me read the brief. This happens in the year 2382. Among the star systems, under the United Galaxies rule, a planet is invaded by monsters appearing from underground. To help defend the planet, Taizo Hori comes to the rescue. As you can see, chat. As you can see, this is official. You can see right here. You see this? That's what I just read. This is a really weird game. I don't know if this is a good idea by Project Aces. Oh, okay, by judges. Yeah. Hang on. Hang on. Okay. Let's try to get to this leaked game real quick before Bananamco Senpai notices me. Okay, so this is the next project that was leaked, codenamed Ace Combat Dig Dug. Instead of piloting a fighter of any kind, you are supposed to dig into the ground. What the fuck? I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is a good idea to take the Ace Combat series in this direction. Oh god. Oh, this control's very weird. Oh. Shit! Fuck you! I'm gonna inflate you! Gonna inflate that fucking... Okay. Okay, this is surprisingly difficult. Come here, scaly alien. Gonna shove my pump into you and inflate you! Oh shit! Fuck off! Oh shit! Fuck off! Okay, this is surprisingly compelling gameplay. I didn't think I would enjoy this, because I'm used to flying and Ace Combat and Strange Feel and all that, but it is surprisingly fun. As you can see, the graphics are glitching out a little bit, but it's fine. This is really early technical alpha. Oh shit! Oh wait, where are you going? Come here, alien, come here! Gonna shove my... Oh goddamn. Shit! Fuck you! Oh no, you don't... Oh shit! No! Fuck! Aliens double team me. Fuck. Aliens are surprisingly dangerous. Fuck you! No you don't. You're not going anywhere. Let me inflate you. Yeah. Pump you for my cheese until you explode. Oh wow, the controls in this are a little bit weird. Fuck, my hands are getting tired. Oh no you don't. You're not getting away. Fuck you. You too. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, what? Yeah, the controls are. Oh shit! Those aliens! Sneaky aliens! No, fuck up! No! Fuck. Fuck. No, fuck that shit. I want to try it again. No, fuck you. Fuck you. Fucking aliens hiding inside each other. Fucking assholes. Motherfuckers. Fuck you. Oh! Okay, good to know. The rocks don't fall further than a single like dirt impact or whatever. Oh! Dig, dug, and inflate with my teeth. Fuck yeah. The music's kinda cute though. I kinda like the music. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit! Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you! Where you going? 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 Oh shit! No, fuck you, fuck you! You're not going anywhere! I'm gonna shove my holes up your ass and inflate you. There we go. Yeah, I'm surprisingly I'm enjoying this. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you too! No, you! No! Fuck! Fuck! Oh god damn it! Fuck! I thought I could smash him. Oh well. And there's no smash from me. Only inflation. As Ginjo used to say, inflation. That's all I remember from that video. Oh shit! Shit! No, fuck you! Fuck! I should have been greedy. I was too greedy. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Yeah. Okay, there's one more game. One more game that was leaked and we need to try out before Bandai Namco Senpai notices me and bogs me. Let's get to it. Let's get to it, chat. Let's get to it. Let me see. Where is it? Okay, this let me oh god. What okay, it's weird noises. Okay, let us read the brief. Where is it? This is Ga Plus in the year 2283. After experiencing the Galaxian Galaga War of 2279 and the Galaxian Galaga War of 2281. Wow, there's so many wars. The Galaga forces quickly evolve into a higher intelligent form, a third generation of aliens called the Ga Plus. The Ga Plus proceeds to create a new empire under their rule. The UGSF, fearing the rise of the alien force, develops a new space fighter, the Ogre Header, which is designed to utilize powerful weapons collectively called blaster heads. Recognizing this threat, the Gapla steals the blaster heads, which marked the beginning of the Galaxian Galaga War of 2283. Wow, can you guys go like 3 years without starting another war? Sheesh. Can you imagine starting wars that often? Sheesh. 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 What is this? Does that mean something? What's this? Eh? Oh wow, that's fancy. Parsec 1. Ooh. Oh. Okay, uh-huh. Oh god. Oh, whoa. Whoa, what's that? Oh my god, they move so fast! Shit. What was that? Oh shit! That's you? That's very new. Fuck! Oh wow, I can move. Oh shit, I can move on the Z-axis on the grid? Wow, I didn't know that. Oh no, wait, that's the Y-axis. Whoops. Okay, hi Lucky. Replace coffee beans with gold droppings. Ew! Why would you die? Ah, fuck! No! I'm getting distracted. Wow, if you die, you restart the entire stage, really? Oh! Oh, this makes things a little more difficult. Okay, so we have to try to rescue the fighter while the alien carrying it is flying, I think. So let's try to... Oh shit! Ah! Okay, so I guess I only have one chance to rescue the fighter, because otherwise the alien leaves the... Fuck. Why to distract you? Why? You're supposed to help me, not help the insect aliens. to capture my ship and invade the cockpit and start tentacling me in there. You're supposed to help me, Lucky, not help the aliens. I don't want to be turned into a insect alien seed bed. Ew! No, thank you. No, thank you. We need to fight the aliens. Yes, got it. Whoa! What's that? What the hell's going on? Oh, whoa! Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. Oh, fucking. Okay, let's try to not let that happen again. Shit. Fuck you! Come here! My turn to mind break! Fuck you! Come here, bitch! Come here! Yes! Oh shit! Okay, so my options can be destroyed. Oh shit! Okay, it's actually hard to avoid getting hit when I'm so wide. What the hell? Oh, this is cute. Oh. How am I supposed to handle this bonus stage? I wonder if there's a technique or strategy to it. Oh, what's going on? What am I hearing? Oh, music? What's happening? Shit! Shit, guys, I don't know what's going on! Shit, I'm down to one option. Shit, it's just me. Oh no! Oh, did I survive? I survived! Oh, I survived! Insects made an offer you cannot refuse. No! Lucky, no! No! Don't betray us and join the insectoid army! No! We're going to all be kidnapped and ravaged and violated and turned to Sandbirds! No! Fuck! What? Whoa, that's a different bonus. Whoa, what's going on? Oh, this is a lot more substantial than Galaga. Shit! No! Shit! No! Fuck. Okay, yeah, this is actually. Okay, yeah, April Fools, chat, April Fools. Can I? Oh no. What? Hang on, can I return to the main menu? I want to revisit part of my childhood. Oh man, I used to love playing this. Oh man. Do you mind if I indulge myself a little bit, chat? Do you mind? Oh, I used to love playing this as a kid. Oh. Oh, this is bringing back so much memories. Stage 1, okay. Oh, okay. I need to press that. Oh my god. Oh, I have all these noises. Wait, no, I need to kill that. Because when I kill that, I get that, and upgrade. Yes. I'm now a. I don't know what tank this is, but it's better than the standard tank. Fuck you. Is it just me or the noise is hurting my ears? Is it hurting your ears, chat? I got Okay, note to self, do not play chicken with the enemy tanks. Ah, fucking. Okay, that I didn't take my own advice, but oh well. Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, fucking. Damn it. I swear I used to be better at this. Fuck you. What's that? I don't know. What the hell did that just do? Fuck you. Oh my god. Can't believe I'm able to play this again after all these years. When did I last play this? Fuck you. Those tanks would take multiple hits to kill. Give me a pop. Give me a fucking pop. Thank you. A grenade? I forgot what that does. Hang on. Stay right there. Power up. Fuck you. Oh, okay, that's what it is. Okay, this is actually hurting my ears. Hang on a second. Can I bring up system menu settings? No options here. Okay, hang on. Let me lower the volume a little bit. And put on some of our own music. I have no idea what's going on. What? What the hell just happened? Okay, I think it's still working. Fuck you. Time. Freeze. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you too. Can I kill it? Yes, thank you. This game is a classic, chat. I used to play this on was it a Nintendo or Super Nintendo? I keep forgetting. So many times when I was a kid. And this is co-op as well. It's got 2 players. Although this is just split screen co-op rather than, you know, proper online co-op. But you can play through split screen co-op on Steam. That couch co-op, whatever it's called. Shit, split screen, shared screen thing. I'm not playing yet. That's why I'm looking for. My god, it's still fucking annoying. Yeah, the tank sounds don't really translate well to modern sound systems. That was actually starting to hurt my ears. Oh. Fuck you. Shit. Okay, so one thing about this game is that that bird over there is our base. We need to make sure that the enemy doesn't destroy it, in addition to going out and defending ourselves. If they destroy our base, it's 1 life loss. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Where's the last one? Oh, okay, that was the last one. There was a time when the only option was at arcades, so many quarters were spent. Yeah. All of these used to be arcade games. But I was able to buy this as the Namco. Oh, fucking! The Namco Museum collection. I think I got it for like what, 4 USD. It's super cheap. Oh come on, give me a power up. Fucking hell! Why are you giving me temporary powers? I want a power for my fucking tank, bitch. This is a lot easier when you have a second player with you. Oh shit! Fuck you! Fuck you! Oh shit! Oh god damn it! Yeah. Okay, that's a power. Give me that. There you go. Okay, our cannon now. Our muzzle velocity is now faster. This was War Thunder before War Thunder, chat. Oh, World of Tanks. This was War Thunder back in the what? 80s? 90s? Shh, fuck you. Fuck you. Damn, that was wasted. Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Fucking. Fucking. Oh shit. Die, bitch. Dodge this. Invulnerability. Let's go. '80s, huh? Yeah, this is from the 80s, wasn't it? I don't know when it was released for the Nintendo or Super Nintendo though, but yeah. Man, this is so old. I spent hours playing this as a kid. Oh god damn it. Fuck you! Fuck you! Give me the power up. Die! Oh, okay, nice. Okay, I can now fire 2 shots at once. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Detonation, huh? Fuck you all. I wonder if Bandai Namco actually ever revisit any of these classics. Especially since, you know, they did that silly retcon where literally all of these games, even Dig Dug, is in the same... Oh fuck, oh fuck, hang on. Hang on. Okay, I shouldn't be doing this while I'm playing. Fuck, okay. Whew. Yeah, even Dig Dug is in the same universe as Ace Combat. What? Really? You put the power up there? Fuck you. Oh shit. Oh no, no. Fuck you. Get away from my base. Shit. Fuck off! Okay, I have a feeling I'm gonna have to stick close to my base and just fight around here because enemy tanks are gonna sneak through and destroy my base. I'm not careful. Fuck you! Kill that one and then go back the other side. This is so much easier if I had a second player. Oh, you can destroy your own base, by the way. Fuck you. Oh. Oh, that's... And yeah, I completely forgot about the power-up. I believe Nintendo recently created a... kind of like modernized version of a game like this. Was it Wii Tanks? No, it wasn't Wii Tanks. It was something, you know, that adorable little tank game on the Switch, I believe. Okay, oh fucking fuck. Okay, yeah, the note to self: never overextend. Fuck. Lost all my power-ups just because I'm fucking... Fuck. Damn it. Damn it. Okay, this is now really hard. Fuck. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, shield. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you too. Fuck you. Fuck. No! Fuck. Fuck. Wait. You guys hear that? Hang on. Hang on, hang on. You guys hear that? Hang on. I thought I heard thunder and lightning. Again. Let's take another trip down memory lane. Another game I wanted to play. There's still one game missing from my childhood that I can't find. It's not in any of these archives. Where is it? Mappy! Mappy! Oh man. Oh man. I didn't think I was ever gonna see this again. Mappy! Green Power Lunches. Did any of you ever play this at all? Oh fuck, oh god, okay. I don't remember how to play this anymore. Ah, fucking, okay, yeah, fuck you. Okay, so I'm invulnerable as long as we're jumping, but... I'm trying to remember how I'm supposed to play this game. Ah. Fuck you! I can't remember if that kills them or... It does kill them. Okay. So the rules of this game is, yeah, as long as you're on the trampoline, you don't get hurt. But you can't stay on the trampoline forever because that happens. The trampoline breaks. And when you open doors, you can stun cats. Oh shit! Come here, motherfucker! Yeah, remembering how to play this like now. Fucker. Oh god damn it. Fuck you! Oh god damn it. Oh shit! Shit. Fuck you! And that's why we're a mouse trying to steal all these weird objects. It's just how the game is. Oh right, the cats don't die permanently, they come back. Fuck. Hi Errol, welcome. Fuck, 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 fuck. Oh, I can open doors without... Oh shit! Fucking... Oh shit! Oh god damn it! Yeah, sometimes that can happen where you don't know if... Oh god! Fucking... Asshole! No! No! Fuck. Fuck you cats! Fuck you! I'm gonna steal your shit! Come back here! Fuck you! Fuck off! fuck you. Fuck off. Got it. This is actually difficult. Oh god, the fucking... Okay, yeah, no, note to self, don't go that way. That's a fucking trap. Fuck you! Shit! Oh no, 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 no! Fuck off! Ah! Oh shit! These cats are motherfuckers! No! God, this is... Fuck. Fuck. Did I play Ice Climber? Oh yeah, I also played Ice Climber a lot. Unfortunately, there's no Ice Climber in this pack. There is some games that I haven't played, but Ice Climber sadly isn't one of them. I've always been curious about what Mappy Land 2 is like. Big Duck 2, Mappy Land. No, this is Mappy 2, Mappy Land and Big Duck 2. Okay, chat. Back to the future of Ace Combat. No, fuck off! I don't know why this thing goes haywire whenever I click away. But yeah, we're going to go to Dig Duck 2 chat. Dig Duck 2! Trouble in Paradise. Dig Duck comes back stronger and more entertaining than ever. It's time for a rematch with the Pukas and Figars on 72 islands. The special weapon is a drill. Use it to knock those monsters into the ocean with your island sinking drill technique. Prepare to be caught off guard by what this new entry brings to the table. Among the star systems under the United Galaxy's rule, an island on the planet is invaded by monsters. Taizo Hori, the hero who saved the day in the previous Dig Dug incident, comes to the rescue again. This takes place in the year 2383 in the Strange Real timeline. What is this like? I never played this. Oh, this is weird. Oh. Fuck! Oh god, this is actually difficult. So I can still pump them, but fucking... Oh! Okay, this is clearly running on an emulator. Whoa! Huh. I didn't expect that. Oh! How the hell do I see which way the fucking island is going to collapse? What the fuck? Okay, what happens if I dig here? No? Oh shit! Okay, what happens if I... Oh! Fuck! Fuck! Fuck, this is actually difficult. Okay, hang on, hang on. Okay, I think I'm understanding what the drill thing is. I'm supposed to drill and pick a direction, and then the lines are formed like that. Ah! Okay, note to self: do not try to drill when a simple inflation will kill them. Fuck you! Inflate, get inflated in preggers. Ain't no alien gonna turn me into a seedbed. Nope. I'm the one who's going to be doing the pregnating. Oh! Oh, this is actually... Fuck! Fuck! Fuck you! It's actually quite compelling. You need to plan what part of the island you're going to fucking destroy. Oh shit! It's not what I wanted. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! So there are apparently 72 islands. Oh my god. 72 islands? Fuck you! What? What happened? What just happened? Did I fall off the island? Fuck you! No. Fuck you! Fuck you! Come here! Fuck you! No, fucking asshole! Stay still! Take your inflation. Oh wow. The map is large. How? Well, there goes the entire... Fuck you! Come on, come on, come on! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! I wonder if I can dig anywhere, or do I have to dig on the holes? Let's find out. Can I dig right here? Oh no, I do have to dig on the holes. Okay, good to know. Fuck you! Okay, fuck you! 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 Can handle both of you at once, bitch! Will we play Battletech? But Battletech is not part of the Ace Combat timeline. Dig Dug is. Who cares about shitty Battletech? I don't. Besides, I already played so much fucking MechWarrior Online. Fucking Fuck. Okay, now I'm curious about Mappy Land. What's Mappy Land like? Mappy Land? That's Super Z. Oh, right. This feels like something that I've seen before, but I never got the chance to play. Mappy's Adventures in Wonderland. Game of cat and mouse with Goro and the Meowskis continues in the streets. On the streets, in the castle, and in the jungle. What, really? Game by Jack. Cheers. Oh wow, this is very different. What? How am I supposed to? Okay, this is so different. Oh fuck! I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Where am I supposed to go? Am I supposed to collect some? Yeah, what am I trying to do here? The music is nice, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Oh, I have to jump and collect all those weird green... Oh, are those supposed to be cheese? They're really disgusting looking cheese. Something appeared. What's that? I don't know what that is. What? Oh. Oh, that's a distraction, huh? Do I have everything I need? I do have everything I need. Okay. You used to play Battletech before it was online maps, figures, paper, and dice. Oh! That's cool. Fuck you, cat! Die! I did play the Battletech, Gab! Fuck! The Battletech game that was released not too long ago. On PC. Unfortunately, I think you know why I stopped playing it, Lucky. I believe I mentioned why. Oh fuck! Fuck you! Shit! Oh wait, there's a fucking trampoline there. Okay, what happens if I destroy this? Do I just fall? Oh! What? What? Excuse me? The fuck was that? Oh, okay, I die. Apparently, if you fall onto the ground without a trampoline, you die. Interesting. Okay, now that we know the rules of this game, let's try to see how far we can get. Oh, fucking. Oh shit! What? Fuck you! Fuck! I wonder what I am! Fuck! I wonder what that floating thing is. What's that? Oh, that's... Okay, so that was something I was supposed to collect, but why couldn't I collect it before? Ah! Apparently I can only hold one of those. Interesting. Lancer TTRPG is called Battletech, not so much RP except for the lore. Yeah. Classic Battletech. So I'm guessing it's what I collected was some kind of power, but oh, I'm gonna use it. How I'm supposed to use it? What the hell did that do? Yeah, I don't know what that does. What the hell did that do? I didn't do shit. Oh god damn it, really? Why did I get a bonus stage before from doing that and now I died? Fucking shit! Yeah, I really don't know what that does. I can't hold more than one. As far as I can tell. You guys are free to look up what the hell that thing does because I can't figure out what the hell it does. You know, I think I prefer the original Mappy over Mappy Land. The original Mappy felt more compelling. More simple, but more compelling. Also, I really don't like the color scheme of this game. It kind of hurts my eyes a little. New tail, I don't know what the hell that does. Huh? Was that because of me or because of the cat? It was because of the cat, okay. Hang on, can I carry more than one of these things? I can. What do they do? I have no idea. You know, I have been tempted to play or run some kind of sci-fi setting. Whether Battletech or Star Wars or something. But right now, we're running. Oh goddammit, okay, so I can't jump on birds, noted. Fuck! Turn to me, menu. I think we agreed on the size of the total weight of the last prior to the game. Of course you had to, because the way Battletech works is that if you had unlimited weight, you could just go for what, 4 atlases with the heaviest armament and weapons and shit, and then steamroll everything. So you need to set beforehand what exactly you were bringing onto the battlefield. I wonder what all these games are like. Rolling Thunder. Oh. Dragon Buster 2. Wow. Oh, these look so old. I don't even know what the hell this is. I'm kind of curious about all these old games. Shoot arrows of justice to pierce through the incarnation of evil, the Dragon King. Monsters lurk in the darkness of the caves. Defeat the Dragon King and retrieve the Sword of Justice. Okay, yeah. We need to defeat the evil Dragon King and retrieve the Sword of Justice. And we need to make sure we don't get defeated by the evil Dragon King and turned into the evil Dragon King's seedbed. Ish. Wow, this what? How do I do? Okay, maybe I should have read the instructions. Hang on. Let me. Oh fuck! That's all I wanted. Hang on, let me read the instructions. Yeah. I wonder if Project Aces is ever going to go back to the future timeline of Strange Rio. They technically did it a bit with Ace Combat 3. Instructions. Enter K, switch content screen K mode, leave through exit, return to memo. You know, it'd be better if you could tell me what these buttons were on a fucking controller. That'd be useful. Ugh. What the hell did that? Call, Barry, Arrow. I guess we go in here. Hello? Oh, shit! You know the rules, and so do I. Oh, fuck. Fucking hell. God damn it. Music listener, thank you so much for subscribing, motherfucker. Okay, so arrows are limited. That's good to know. Ow! I just shot myself. Fuck you. Oh wow, they give me so many arrows. Okay. Can I do anything with this? Guess not. This feels like a dungeon crawler. Oh. Come here! Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you! Oh. A key? So I picked it up, now what? What can I do with that? Okay, hang on. This game's sound is a bit low, so I need to increase its volume a little bit. Right, better. Guess we go this way. I wonder if this came before or after Zelda. Hello? No, Moses. I just noticed I'm working on skulls. Yeah, this is not a nice place. Oh, thank you for that. I have a lot of arrows now, but I still don't know what I'm supposed to be trying to accomplish here. What am I trying to do here? I'm lost. Is that the end of the map? Or is there more? Oh? Eh? I guess that's clear? Question mark? Guess we go in here. Doesn't look like a plane. Oh, die. Hang on. I'll get you a plane. I'll get you a plane. Let me save my data. Well, we're going to go back to we're going to go to the secret leak for Ace Combat. The secret Ace Combat leak. As you can see here, as you can see here, we have the official Bandai Namco timeline of. Oh, I don't know why the fucking game is moving on its own. Ignore it. Starting from Ace Combat 3 in 2004, going all the way here to Plus, Galaxian, Galaga 88, Attack of the Zolgear, Dig Dug. Fucking Dig Dug is in this same timeline. Hang on. This is the exclusive leaked reveal, chat. Look. Ace Combat United Galaxy Edition. Nicely. Yeah, I know. Oh fuck. Okay. I shouldn't be looking at chat while I'm trying to fly a plane. Let's go. We need to defeat the aliens, or else they're going to turn us into seedbeds, and they're gonna fill us full of tentacles. We don't want that, do we? Yes, we definitely don't want that. Fucking die, aliens! Aliens, come! Okay, come here. Fuck you! Come here! I'm gonna... What? I said, come here! Come here! I'm gonna mind break you! Fucking... No, alien's gonna mind break me! Oh, fuck, my bells are still flocking. Fuck, whoop, sorry. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Thank you for letting me know. Fucking die, aliens! This is really early technical alpha, so you can expect the actual Ace Combat game to look very different once it actually comes out. Yes. Fuck you, aliens, go. Bitch. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know what this bonus stage is all about. Oh, well. Okay, stage 4. Let's go. Fuck. God damn it. Fucking God damn. I don't know what was up with that music. My hands are getting... Got rid of the missiles and kept the guns? Maybe they'll add the missiles eventually. But oh well, that's the end of the leaked gameplay. Yeah, I don't have anything else to show unless you want to see the even earlier leaked gameplay. Hang on, let me find the even earlier leaked gameplay. Even earlier leaked gameplay of Ace Combat United Galaxy. Where is it? There it is. Galaxian. It's part of the scuffness. Yeah, it's to be expected, yeah. Early tech demo. Here's one of the tech demos that got leaked. Yes, definitely. Oh god, definitely 100% real leak. Not fucking April Fools. Nope. It's amazing. It's a risk going old school, but it's amazing. Yep, yep, yep. No, although this is quite the risk, there's actually something else that's even bigger risk. I'll show you after I fucking die. Here. Fucking. Hang on. As you can see, this is really early alpha. Technical alpha. I can't fire more than one bullet at a time, which, you know, the later tech demos, they at least allow me to fire what, 2 bullets at a time, and I wasn't, you know, as defenseless as only being able to fire 1 bullet. But oh well. Fucking. And yeah, the enemies just kind of appear. You can really see the placeholder animations and stuff. The way the enemies just, you know, just snap in. They don't really enter the stage from any direction or whatever. Fuck you, aliens! Fuck you! Yeah! Okay. And you know one thing they really need to add? The ability for me to fire diagonally. That would be cool. It's not fair that the aliens can fire diagonally, but I can't. Fuck! Fucking, come on. Bitch. Oh, god damn it! Come here, you fucking alien. Sticky aliens, come. Fucking. Stop dodging! Bitch! God damn it! You think that, you know, when there's so many aliens around, the bullet will hit something, but no! It just keeps going in the fucking middle! Stop scoring goals, god damn it! Fuck! Fucking... Fuck! Whoa! Fuck! Ah! Fuck! Damn it! Damn it! True, maybe they'll nerf the aliens at later patches. Well, personally, I always prefer in buffing the player rather than nerfing enemies. But that's just me. Diagonal Fire is separate DLC. Lower price of $9.99. Oh god, no! Please no! Don't go that route. Don't go that route. $1.99. Okay, so yeah. If you think retro space is a risk, imagine how risky this is. As you can see, Dig Dug is on the timeline. Chat, Dig Dug is on the timeline. This is super risky. You're no longer flying anything at all in any kind of sky or space or whatever. You're instead digging the ground and shoving your pump deep inside these aliens and inflating them until they explode. Totally not hentai. Oh god, Vicky! Totally not hentai or anything, by the way, chat. No hentai at all. Fuck you! Fuck you! Cool for me, thank you. Uh-oh. Come on, come on! Fuck you! Cool, there we go. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! So yeah, if you want to see a risk, this is the risk. Fuck you! Super risky. No more planes of any kind, just digging through the dirt and inflating aliens until they coom all over you. Fucky. Die. Oh god. Oh, come here. You're not getting. Go away, bitch. Come here. Come here. Come here. I'm a pump waiting for you, bitch. Come on. Oh shit. Oh shit. Shit. Damn it. Fucking. No. Fucking. Fucking. Listen, alien. Come here. You can actually get out of the plane now? Yeah. Although it appears that they're getting rid of their plane entirely in this Ace Combat Dig Dug. That's the code name for this. Oh shit! Fuck. It's actually quite difficult. Fuck. Fuck. Yeah, there's some problems with the movement. Hopefully they fix it eventually. I actually want to play more. Let me play more. Whoop. Oh shit! Shit! Okay, don't. I gotta hear myself there. I shouldn't waste my time trying to do all these fancy stuff. Just pump them full of my juice. There you go. Come here, you too. One left. Come on. I have a pump full of jizz waiting for you. Come here. There you go. You like that, don't you? Come here. You too. Try to run. Fuck you. Okay. Come here. Your turn. Last one. All your friends have cooled to death. Fuck you. Fuck you. Make you cool even though you're still in the wall, bitch. Come here. Come here. Last one. Come on. Hi. Okay, so I can see that there's two of them there. I need to get them separated somehow. If I open the door, I'm gonna die instantly. Fuck! Fuck! Fuck you! Fuck you! Come here! Fucking... Oh god damn it! Fuck you! Oh shit! Fuck you! Fuck you! They tried to overwhelm me. Fucking assholes. Fuck you. As you can see, there's some graphical glitches in this early alpha. Well, hopefully they'll fix it. Whoa, I can apparently hit them inside the fucking... Oh shit! No, you're not gonna fucking... Okay, yeah, that one got away. Fuck you. Fuck you too. Oh wait, now I remember that. Those assholes tricked me last time. They killed me because there was two of them standing in the exact same spot. Fuck you assholes. Fuck you too. I failed to clear the stage last time. Fuck you! Fuck you too! Oh wow, I got another life. Nice! Oh shit! Fuck you! Who's next? No! Aww. An alien escaped. Oh, it's fine. Got plenty more sound! Fucking wall hacks! Wall hacks! I call hacks! Ah! Assholes! The aliens are cheating! Fuck you! No, 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 no! Fucking fuck off! Leave me alone, bitch! Fuck. Oh god. Fuck you. Fucking wall hacks. I swear. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. 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 No. Oh my god. Ah! Fuck. Fuck. Well, that was Ace Combat Dig Dug Edition. Set in the year. Set in the year 2382 of the strange real continent. Continuing from Electrosphere, Ace Combat 3. I never actually played Ace Combat 3. My first Ace Combat was Ace Combat 5. I thought that the story of Ace Combat 3 is very weird. But then I feel like it's not nearly as weird as this. Damn, Ace Combat is hard. Yeah, it's very hard. Oh, at the very least, Ace Combat 7 is hard. Okay, technically, if you played all of the classic Ace Combats, Ace Combat 7, the most recent one, is actually the hardest in the series. Every other series before that was actually relatively easy compared to 7. The enemies aren't as smart. They don't swarm you with fucking missiles and drones. Okay, I'm kind of curious about that other game. Let's go back to that other game that I saved. My state in. I'm really curious about that game. I want to see what that game is like in the long run. Let me see. Dragon Buster. It almost seems like it almost seems like it's God damn it! What fucking okay, load my state, please. It almost seems like it's a Zelda clone or something like that. Doesn't it? Come here! Ow. How do I tell how much health I have left? What the fuck is that noise? Oh shit! The fuck is that? Shit! Did I just go in a big circle?
I did, didn't I?
Wow, that was a whole lot of useless.
Fuck you!
I found the door.
But I need the key to exit, huh? Hey, fuck you!
It is a giant circle.
Interesting. Fuck you!
Found the key.
Let's try to see if there's anything else we can find here.
Oh, we ended up back at the top.
So, let's try to find that door again.
Was it at this level? Yep.
Let's get out of here.
Oh.
Oh,
That's interesting.
uh,
I didn't know I could do that.
oh.
Fuck you! Shit. Oh, I found the key already.
What else was?
Ah! Okay, so
Every time I take damage, my color changes.
interesting. Well, we found the exit already.
Ah,
Oh, should we chop this down?
I guess. Hi! Anyone home? Hello? Happy deliveries!
I'm here to deliver arrows up your ass.
Fuck you!
Fire arrows.
Ooh.
Okay, they don't light up the path.
I still need to put my face.
There. Ah, fuck.
Shot myself! Fuck you!
Oh, god damn it. Okay, note to self, don't shoot yourself.
Am I gonna die? I'm red. Hello? Anyone home? Anything down here? Hello? Hello?
What am I looking for?
Am I just looking for another key? Hello?
Mr. Dragon King?
Mr. Dragon King?
Ah, god damn it! Okay, so that can happen.
Noted. Mr. Dragon King, I'm here to pierce you with my arrows of justice.
I believe that's what my arrows are called. Arrows of justice. Fucking! God, you really get no warning. Other than the sound.
Do you?
And then sometimes they're... As soon as they appear, they're literally already on top of you.
Where's the lava pool I found? Fuck you! Fuck you!
Is that good or bad?
Hello?
It's a healing pool.
Okay.
That didn't really help.
So many dinos, I know, right? You're all trying to turn me into a seed bed. But don't worry. My arrows of justice will defeat them.
What the fuck is that noise? That's new. Oh shit! Shit! Oh shit! No! 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 How the hell am I supposed to beat that?
I'm no fairies one, Carl.
You know, I know a fanboy whose name is actually Carl. I wonder how he would react to the idea of
Him needing to go on an adventure and defeat the Dragon King.
You think we found a dragon? Yeah, we did. But how am I supposed to beat that? He moves faster than I do.
I first saw.
What are you saying about your arrows? Justice didn't hear that with all the screaming.
Listen, listen, listen.
Hey, what? I'm back here? Fuck, where's the boss room?
The boss is cheating.
Okay. Okay, the boss moves faster than me. Fuck! Yeah, how the hell am I supposed to beat that? Or am I not supposed to?
Fight him just yet. If I fail one more time and get a game over.
I'm going to. Actually, hang on a second.
Hang on a second.
Let me put a save state here. Save states aren't cheating, chat. Okay. Eh? What?
What? Really?
Really? That's all it took? Just pummel him with arrows?
Really? Really?
Really? All that screaming and all I had to do was fill him full of lead?
Really?
The real battle. What do you mean the real battle starts
Out of here!
What the fuck does that mean? Oh my fucking god. Are you serious? Wait, that was the tutorial? Okay, fuck this, fuck this, fuck this, I'm putting a save state and
I'm like,
no, you know what?
fuck this, fuck this, fuck this.
You know, I thought a lot about Pac-Line. Let's find out what Pac-Line is like.
Oh, Pac-Man.
Rapid fire.
Huh? Oh, this looks so jank.
Excuse me, why can't I move? What?
What?
What? All my buttons are wrong. What? 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 Game? Oh my god, this is so weird. The arrow buttons jump and what the?
This is so fucking weird.
The arrow buttons jump and the and the face buttons move.
What the fuck?
Was this literally played with just 3 buttons? This game was only played with 3 buttons.
Is this?
Is this literally just an endless runner?
Is this?
Is this the endless runner before endless runners?
Oh! Ah!
This is an endless runner.
Oops.
You can control your speed by mashing the button.
Oh god.
Okay, that was not something I want to play.
Fuck off.
Also, you're unlucky.
Oh, you're unlucky. I kinda suspected that you are unlucky.
I'm kind of curious about this. Urgent orders. Defeat the evil secret society of Geldra. They kidnapped the female agent Layla.
Oh no! They kidnap a female secret agent? They're probably ravaging and violating and trying to mindbreak her right now.
Yes, infiltrate the enemy stronghold, rescue her, and defeat their leader Mabu.
Interesting name.
Jump, shoot, and rapid fire.
Okay.
By the way, thank you for jump scaring me with your subscription earlier. Oh my god, my bullets are...
Limited. Okay, good to know.
How do I... Can I only shoot them?
Or...
Yeah, I can only shoot them.
Oh.
Okay, let's reset.
Let's reset and try to start from the start.
Oh god.
Okay, something with a neck like that. He definitely has some kind of tentacle body. And he's definitely in the middle of mind-breaking our friend agent right now.
We have to save her, chat. Can I not go through this door? I guess not.
God damn it!
Okay, I need to remember that is... Oh, Okay, so that's how I go through doors. But I can only go through some doors.
Oh, fucking!
Okay, note to self, it's very important to maintain my
Health. Fuck! Give me those bullets. Fuck you! Fuck you!
fuck you.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
Oh god damn it! Okay, that's bullshit.
How am I supposed to react to that?
Okay, so I can't go into doors.
Huh. Fuck you!
Fuck you.
Fuck!
Fuck. This game's actually difficult.
Oh, I can.
Okay, so that's how I jump up.
Good to know. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
You coming?
Fuck you!
Ah! Fuck, fuck you.
Fuck you too! Fuck you!
Fuck you. Okay, so the shooter guards only have one health.
Good to know. Fuck you!
Can I please get my health back? Ah! Fuck! What was if I click continue? Oh my god, this is just stage 1! No!
No, we have to.
We have to rescue the female agent.
Chat. Otherwise she's gonna get mind broken. By the evil tentacle monster, man.
Okay, technically we have to worry about getting tentacle monstered ourselves.
Because
Ah!
because we're a trap after all.
But still.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
I know you're coming out of the door, bitch!
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Fuck you! Oh god damn it. Okay, don't try to play chicken with those motherfuckers.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
Arms? What's that? Oh, okay. Special weapon, huh?
Okay. Fuck you! Fuck you!
Oh god damn it!
Fuck you! Give me that bullet.
Yeah, that animation looks quite silly, don't you think?
Fuck you!
Ah! Damn it! I forgot that one comes out that door.
Fuck you!
Apparently we can't shoot diagonal, huh?
Fuck you! Fuck you!
Fuck you! God damn it! Okay,
Fuck this shit.
fuck it! Fuck it!
This game sucks!
This game fucking sucks!
Fuck this shit! Fuck this shit! What's this like?
Defeat the bad guys and save your girlfriend, Jenny.
Oh no!
Another girl got kidnapped and is currently being violated by a bunch of hooligans.
Oh no!
flip panels to attack and the mysterious land too.
Huh?
What? In front of you. Map screen confirm house.
What?
Excuse me?
Flip panel.
Map screen. Rapid fire.
Huh?
What?
What?
Confirm house?
What? The fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Huh?
I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Uh...
Eh?
Uh...
Uh.
Plus...
5 sec? What the hell does that mean?
Uh... What?
What? I don't...
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
You have any... You guys have any idea what I'm doing? Because I don't.
Uh...
So I'm trying to flip panels to kill them. But at the same time, I'm also collecting points? Question mark? What? What? Well... What? Eh? They only move when I move? Ah!
Okay, this is kind of cute, but...
And I can't touch them. Yeah, that's obvious, but I don't know what the whole flipping thing is.
Yeah, what that plus 5 sec?
What the hell does that mean?
What?
What?
Fuck. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck.
No! Okay, hang on. Let me look this up.
What the fuck are we supposed to do here?
Mendel.
Palace.
Puzzle video game developed by Game Freak.
The Pokemon guys?
Yep. Developed by the Pokemon guys. Play as a character's blue and green colored boy in a vest and cap. Each level consists of a single room composed of a 5x7 grid of floors, surrounded by boundary wall. At the beginning of each level,
we'll read this together.
you bring this here. At the beginning of each level, a number of enemy dolls appear and start wandering out, attempting to collide with the player. The characters have the ability to flip the floor tile they are standing on or adjacent to in order to propel enemy dolls away, as well as revealing new floor tiles underneath. Enemies can be destroyed by flipping them into a wall or impassable block. The players must destroy every doll to complete the level and move on to the next one. It's also possible to win certain levels by making a stalemate, which all tiles are unflippable, like the bolted metal tiles or the graffiti tiles from the artist dolls. Each doll does a simple action that varies from each world. They vary from the basic walking motion to swimming and even aggressive tile flippers who have the same abilities to flip random tiles as the player. The level select shows each pose along the enemy dolls that occupy it. The enemy dolls can be destroyed by flipping them into a wall block, slamming into them from a spinner tile. Touching an enemy causes the player to instantly lose a life. Each world has 10 levels, which is accompanied by a boss and a scene showing the player's girlfriend being whisked off to another part of him.
Oh no!
Stars and lives for each player are tracked separately. Some rules are in darkness where players must anticipate useful tiles, enemies, and world in advance. If the player loses all the light, then the player must continue to play until... If one player loses all of his light, then the other player must continue to play until he also loses all of his lives. There are a variety of patterns on the floor tiles that can be collected or reflect gameplay. Each particular tile hides many patterns underneath that can be revealed after multiple flippings.
Ah.
I don't know what the tile power-up is.
Your brain going to the line from the new Mario Bros. Movie, just saying, "We can fight! We're adorable!" Toads are adorable, aren't they?
Yeah, I have no idea how... what the tiles mainly do, what stars mean and all that.
Oh well.
Alright, check. I think I'm gonna call this special, super secret, totally legit reveal stream here. Thanks everyone for dropping by. Although, don't forget, we have another stream coming up later today. The audio stream's current bit rate 0 is lower.
Hang on,
guys. So are you getting some bad audio problems? Hang on. I'm not seeing any drop frames or anything. No, it's fine for you. Huh, that's very strange. I'm getting a weird error on YouTube. Oh well. If you guys say it's okay, then I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna call it here for this stream, but there is going to be another stream later today. After today, after this stream, let me go over here. We are going to be doing a D&D stream. Well, Pathfinder, technically. Pathfinder stream is happening in 3 hours. Let me post the linky here. Link. Okay, so yeah. In about... God damn it. No, fuck off! Fuck off. Okay, there we go. Not gonna have that thing annoying us.
Right. So, yeah, that was the end of
Our super legit secret
uh,
gameplay league reveal stream. In about 3.5 hours from now, we're going to be having a Pathfinder stream. Pathfinder, for anyone who doesn't know, is a tabletop RPG game. If you know Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder is Dungeons and Dragons but crazier.
a lot crazier.
We have if you think typical fantasy races like elves, human, dwarfs, orcs, and stuff like that, our party in the Pathfinder campaign that I'm running, I'm DMing, my first time DMing ever. Our party is made of a dwarf barbarian, a goblin wizard, a tiny little sprite fairy sorcerer who might be evil, a plant man with a arquebus sniper rifle, and we have a fifth player.
We have a fifth player coming in today.
It's a fifth player who
uh,
you guys are going to be meeting the fifth player in today's stream.
yeah, click like girls that I see. Yep.
We're going to be doing Pathfinder in 3.5 hours from now, and I'm DMing. So yeah, hope you guys look forward to it. Okay, let me type the message. The super secret reveal leak stream.
Check
Our Pathfinder TTRPG
stream
later today in
3 hours.
Right, and with that, I'll say goodbye for now, but I will hopefully see you guys again later, okay?
Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you, music listener, unlucky listener, for fucking jump scaring me. I swear, you fucking. Oh. Okay, time for me to head off. I definitely need to rest my voice before Pathfinder, because as a DM, I'm gonna have to talk a lot. So yeah,
I'm gonna be spending the next 3.5 hours just resting my voice.
bye everyone. I'll see you later.